Richard F. Lyle, and you are watching The Guide to Plein Air Painting, Chapter 3. If you like this painting, you need to watch this video and the other 4 video chapters. You need to study them and not just watch them once. Everything you need to know is in these videos. If they seem a little long, save them and come back later. These videos will make you a better artist. Chapter 3, Underpainting. In this chapter, I will go over how and why you should use an underpainting. I always use some kind of underpainting. If you feel your painting lacks something, and they look naive or monotone, I bet you're not using an underpainting. You are looking at a simple color wheel used by artists. I always told my students to either draw it on their easel or sketch pad. When painting outside, time is one of the most important things. You do not need to spend time thinking about what color to use. It is not important to get the color exact. Looking at the wheel, you can see that the red is across from green. Therefore, red and green is the reverse of red. Violet and yellow are reverse colors, and blue and orange are also reverse colors. You will also see that I have a V drawn around blue and green. If your subject has large areas of red or orange as the dominant colors, it is very hard to put a green or blue in as the underpainting. I found that the underpainting always needs to be warm. The best results I get for a large red or orange area is to mix violet with yellow. Yellow ochre and rose madder are the 2 colors I use. If the red is towards the violet, I move the mixture towards yellow ochre. As the orange goes towards yellow, I add more violet into the mixture. The idea behind the underpainting is to add a side tone of color, the hidden color. The underpainting also sets the values of your painting. Remember, your thumbnail drawing is your blueprint at this point. Your thumbnail should have the values already set. Now you just block the values in with color. This picture of the motive with the values from my thumbnail drawing. You can see how the subject broke down to 5 values. Value 1, the sky. Value 2, the horizon plane. Value 3, the far away mountains. Value 4, mid-range mountains. And value 5, my upright plane, the trees. What works so nice with this painting is that it also very easily to block in each of these 5 values with the overall single color. Value 1, the sky is blue. Value 2, the horizon plane is a violet. Value 3, faraway mountains are blue. Value 4, mid-range mountains, violet. Value 5, my upright planes are green. I always like to start at the top and work down, as the thin paint will run down. It's no real problem if one color runs into another. Most of the time I don't even spend time fixing. Remember, the underpainting is to help you add colors and life to your painting. You will learn this in the next chapter. Or hardboard. Here you can see the white canvas with the thumbnail transfer. You'll learn this in chapter 2. I thin the colors with paint thinner. When I am doing my underpainting, I do not have my medium cup on the palette. You also do not need white paint on your palette at this time. I use the white of the canvas to lighten my colors. Add thinner to your paint mixture to lighten the value, as the white of the canvas will come through. Start your underpainting. You need to prepare your palette for mixing colors. You do this by bringing small amounts of paint down from the base colors. In Chapter 2, I explain how to set up your palette with the base colors, which is the paint straight out of the tube. I line up these colors along the top of my palette. You can see how I do this with my palette knife. The colors move that we think will be needed for mixing the underpainting. It's time to get started. So let's get started. The sky value number 1 is blue. Let us look at the color wheel and find blue. You will find orange is the color directly across from blue. So we mix the color orange first. Always test your mixed color along the edge of the canvas. Mixing my orange color and adding thinner. When I tested the color on the edge of the canvas, I found that my mixture did not match the value of the sky, but it did match the faraway mountains. Now I could have just kept adding more thinner and testing until I matched the value of the sky. But instead I said to myself, I matched the color and the value of the faraway mountains. Let's use it. And I applied the paint to the appropriate location. I would like to point out how fast I block in the area. This part of the painting is done in real time. I cleaned up the remaining paint in the small pool and applied it to the faraway mountain on the right side of the canvas. I mixed just the right amount. Now I am adding more thinner to get the value of the sky. Know how the paint is running towards me. Always have your palette tipped towards you. You do not want the paints you are mixing to run into the base colors, which came out of the tube. You need to keep those colors clean. I would like to point out again how fast I block in the area. This part of the painting is also done in real time. Now, I will load up the brush again and complete the sky. Now, as we move down the canvas, we come to the mid-range mountains. These are purple or violet, so we use more of a warm yellow like yellow ochre. As we did with the orange for the sky and faraway mountains, I will do the same with the yellow ochre. Take the paint mixture and test it on the edge of the canvas to make sure I have the correct value. With the mid-range mountains, because they are closer, you can see more little variations to the overall value. You can just block the whole area in with one value and one color, but I like to have just a little variation to help with the structure of the painting. Looking close at the mid-range mountains, we will see that the violet starts to have a touch of green as they slope towards us. They also get warmer and darker. Let's take a break and talk about the rule of color. All colors get cooler and lighter as they move away from you, except white. White is the only color that gets warmer as it moves away from you. I will cover color perspective with more detail in Chapter 5. Here is the area of the mid-range mountains that start to show some green and is darker. So for the closer area of the mid-range mountains, I will add a little red to the yellow ochre. Because red is the reverse of green, I tested the color on the edge of the far range mountains. I could see that the color was good, but when I first applied it to the correct area, it looked a little too red. I did not worry because the exact color is not important. After I blocked in the whole area, I saw that it was okay. I also cleaned the brush out with thinner this time before loading up the brush. This made the color a little lighter when I finished blocking in the area. As we keep working down the painting, we come to the horizontal plane. This is a very light violet, so I use more thinner with the yellow ochre. Know how I only mix small amounts of paint and apply them to the canvas. This will give the large area small variations and make it more interesting. You can see how the horizontal area is broken up by the trees of the upright plane. I don't know if you saw, but I wiped the brush in between when loading at that time, so this came out a little darker. Took some of that paint thinner out of the brush. But I don't waste any time, I just keep on blocking it in. And I can put too much of an area in with the yellow and go over it with the red with the trees and cover everything that way. There you see where the paint ran. I told you that most of the time I don't even bother fixing it. time to block in the upright plane. The upright plane is made up of green trees. The reverse color of green is red. Now the upright plane is the dark value, so I use very little thinner with the red. The trees are also very close to me. I will block in the trees with more texture and variations of color. The trees in the foreground are also much warmer than the trees further out on a horizontal plane. So I will use hotter red for the foreground. So first I'm doing these trees in the distance on the horizontal plane, just on the edge of the horizontal plane. Some in the middle. Again, I just do the basic shapes. I don't try to draw in all the trees and put any detail in the underpainting. You can see there's very little thinner in that paint. See how large the brush strokes are? I try to cover as much area as I can, as fast as I can. The underpainting is very spontaneous. And you can see the variations I have. These trees are a little lighter, a little further away than the trees on the right. You also want to try to block in all the white of the canvas. You don't want white canvas showing through. There'll always be a few little spots you miss. This is it. This is the complete underpainting. Time to clean up now. After I completely clean the palette, I like to go over the composition again, make sure nothing's changed with the composition. And I like a real nice clean palette when I start my next step in the painting process. Now I'll give you a preview of the next chapter, chapter 4, the foundation painting, which is done very similar to the underpainting, except it's done with the local color, the dominant color, the color you see. It's the reflected light. The underpainting is the reverse color, which is the colors that's absorbed by objects. So if something is blue, it absorbs orange. That's why it looks blue. Again, I just put big brush strokes on. The difference is it's very important to clean your brush with a dry paper towel. Just wipe off the paint after you apply it and just apply a couple big strokes, turn it over. You don't want to pull that underpainting off too much, and you do it lightly. You still want to keep the paint thin, but not too thin. You want it to have some thickness to it, like a sheet of paper. I would say at this level of the painting, you want the paint to be the thickness of a sheet of paper and different weights of paper. Some places it will be a heavier paper than others, but you always want to apply a layer of paint. And you can see the orange bleeding through. It gives that life to it. And once you train your eyes, you'll see that orange in the sky. And you'll see the red and the green. People used to laugh when I first started to say that, but after a while everybody says, I can see the red and that green, or I can see the orange and the blue. I found that people see the orange in the sky before they see other side tones, but after their eye gets trained, they have no problem seeing the side tones after that. The side tones show more in the shadows, so if you don't really know what color you're looking at, a lot of times you can look at the shadows and realize you're going to see the reverse color in the shadows. So the shadows look blue, you know the object's orange. And this is your first layer of paint, so don't get worried about having a little bit too much of the underpainting showing someplace. After painting outside, things happen fast and dry fast, so you'll be able to put another layer on it within 15 minutes. Now, as you paint, the layers get thicker and thicker or fatter. This process is called wet on wet. Now after paint's dry, you can put a glaze or a wash on it, but while the paint's wet, you keep painting fatter. You don't put thin paint on top of heavy paint. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, don't be afraid to hit the thumbs up or leave comments or share it with other people. If you want to see more videos, hit the subscribe button.